And that is Ms. Laurie Greyvenstein. I see you've asked in the chat if you can share your PowerPoint from your side. Yes, you can. Laurie, do you want to go ahead and do that?
Just a minute.
Laurie, I see that you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I think I need to get the microphone. Give us a moment. And yeah, something happening here. But... Sorry? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay, well done. I just have a problem sharing from this side. I forwarded my presentation to you. It seems to me that I will not be able to share online.
Laurie Greyvenstein. Give us a moment, we'll find it.
Which one is this?
You're asking me. The paper is on.
An declaration.
No.
Laurie.
Yes, let's try that.
Okay. Is this the one?
No, it's open.
That's the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's fine.
You want me to activate the camera?
Give us a second. Is it showing? Oh, all right. I'm just going to introduce you first of all. So our final speaker for this afternoon is Laurie Greyvenstein, NABFAM Chairman, Social Justice Association Mediators, Chairman and Director at the Social Justice Network. Topic for this afternoon is how a dedicated credit bureau can function as a central maintenance register, facilitate ODR, and promote ADR in maintenance disputes. So, Laurie, you have 20 minutes, and I'm sure you can introduce yourself if you want to put your camera on for a second.
Thank you. Just want to get to my PowerPoint as well. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laurie Greyvenstein. I'm a family mediator and the director of the Social Justice Foundation and Network in Cape Town. I have 25 years experience in formal dispute resolution and 17 years experience in alternative dispute resolution. I've been working with maintenance disputes since 1987, first as a maintenance officer, then prosecutor, magistrate, and now as a mediator. I'm a PhD candidate, and my presentation is based on my approved research proposal and a lifetime of dealing with maintenance disputes in practice. This is a work in progress with the buy-in of all relevant stakeholders. The title is How a Dedicated Credit Bureau Can Function as a Central Maintenance Register, Facilitate Online Dispute Resolution, and Promote Alternative Dispute Resolution in Maintenance Disputes. My supervisor is Professor Linky de Jong. I will continue with the introduction, then the problem, an outline of the thesis, the duty of support, the traditional method of resolving maintenance disputes, ADR options to resolve maintenance disputes, the need for a centralized maintenance register, the establishment of a dedicated credit bureau to serve as a centralized maintenance register, to the conclusion. Introduction. In the ideal world, children would grow up with both biological parents in one home. The divorce and unemployment rates would be low. Few children would be born out of wedlock. the state would be wealthy, orphan children would be cared for by the state, and divorced and unwed parents would willingly take care of their children's financial needs until they are fully self-supporting. But the reality is that we do not live in an ideal world. Divorce and family breakup are often complicated by emotional effects, and although parents may love their children, they are frequently struggling with unresolved issues that hinder them from thinking clearly and being open about their finances. Maintenance disputes frequently arise. Some disputes are settled amicably, but many end up in court. Connelly correctly states that there is a culture of non-payment of maintenance in South Africa. Parts of the current maintenance system have become so obsolete that it no longer serves the best interest of children and other vulnerable people who are legally entitled to financial support. A multidisciplinary approach is necessary if we are to create new insights into the pressing societal demands and social economic needs that are evident in maintenance cases. Fresh insights are needed to improve law reform processes on various levels, thereby contributing to the development of new legislation and influencing approaches to the centralization and integration of the private maintenance system with other public and private sector systems, as well as to the extension of credit and the keeping of records on persons with maintenance obligations. The proposed approach is technologically advanced, reduces the discretionary powers of court officials, and can fit into the well-established and regulated credit bureau environment. A sophisticated system can significantly reduce human intervention, thereby reducing costs, time, and preserving relationships. This research campaign for the establishment of a National Central Maintenance Register, the CMR or Central Register, that will record all maintenance orders and keep a record of persons who do not honor their maintenance obligations. The register should function as a dedicated maintenance credit bureau, the DMCB, or dedicated bureau for maintenance orders only, and interact with the financial sector and the credit industry. When credit consumers apply for credit, the credit providers will have access to such consumers' maintenance obligations. Credit consumers who evade or conceal their financial responsibilities to their family will be prevented from obtaining further credit until their maintenance obligations have been paid in full. The national credit regulations provide for the consideration of maintenance obligations when someone applies for credit, but there is no easy point of access to such information. Although the Maintenance Amendment Act provides for information on maintenance defaulters to be handed over to credit providers and credit bureaus, this information is not readily accessible. Credit bureaus are positioned to process data of a financial and private nature from various public and private sector platforms, where such data is crucial in dealing with maintenance cases. The Central Register should encourage ADR before escalating to litigation. A central register offering online services could provide access to justice by first funneling cases through ODR, and when disputants cannot settle through ODR, referring them to suitable ADR mechanisms such as private or community-based mediation. Only when ADR is unsuccessful should disputants be referred to litigation as a last resort. This would encourage biological parents to take care of their children's financial needs, enhance the role of courts by reducing their administrative functions, and encourage disputing parties to settle disputes amicably. A maintenance inquiry is first and foremost a financial inquiry. Many disputed maintenance cases that end up in court are argued based on the availability of financial resources. The problem: It is acknowledged that the maintenance system needs rigorous changes if it is to be effective. This study does not, however, focus on previously identified problems with the maintenance system. A major problem identified by existing research relates to the lack of capacity and infrastructure of the maintenance court system to deal with the workload, which is created in part by insufficient maintenance legislation. This study focuses on a system that emphasizes the responsibility of non-residential parents to provide for their dependent children and on methods of dealing with maintenance defaulters, the reporting of all maintenance orders and defaulters to credit bureaus, and the handling of disputes pertaining to maintenance matters. Private maintenance orders are granted in different courts. Unfortunately, there is no clear indication of the number of maintenance orders in operation in South Africa. More than 60% of registered births in South Africa in 2021 reflected no information on the biological fathers on the birth certificates. Courts received more than 200,000 new applications for maintenance annually, but these figures fall far short of the need for maintenance orders. A mere 34% of children live with both biological parents, and 42% live with their mothers but not their fathers. Only 4% of children live with their fathers but not with their mothers. South Africa's total population is estimated at 60 million people, of whom 20 million are children under 18 years. Children make up 34% of the total population. The 66% of children in need of maintenance represent 13.2 million children. Divorces and the 200,000 maintenance cases finalized annually are a drop in the ocean in relation to the actual need for maintenance. There were 1.265 million live births in South Africa in 2022, while the need is for 835,397 new maintenance orders per year. On new births alone, there is a deficit of 1,065,753 maintenance orders annually, excluding the need of 13.2 million for the substitution of current orders. Hypothetically, if 13.2 million maintenance orders are received annually, then on average, every magisterial district must hear or review 74 cases every single working day. The maintenance court system does not have the capacity to deal with the sheer volume of cases, and drastic alternative measures are necessary to address the need. The vital need for an efficient maintenance system is emphasized by the alarming statistics on the numbers who are dependent on the state for survival. 29 million people in South Africa receive monthly annual grants. 18 million South Africans receive state welfare grants, with another 11 million relying on the state's 350 Rand grant. South Africa only has 7.4 million individuals with taxable incomes, a quarter of the number of people who receive grants. 50% of credit active consumers are over-indebted. Over-indebtedness is a common excuse used by respondents during maintenance inquiries in court. Maintenance obligations are considered as part of a person's credit profile, which must be considered when applying for credit. But 8 years after the amendment of the national credit regulations, there is still no system to provide for the implementation of this amendment. Maintenance defaulters can now be listed with credit bureaus, but there is no dedicated bureau processing maintenance orders. If there were a dedicated bureau, credit providers would be denied an opportunity to provide further lending, and persons with maintenance obligations would be able to provide for their dependents. Government must fix this problem. In the case of Bannatyne, the Constitutional Court found while the obligation to ensure that all children are properly cared for is an obligation that the Constitution imposes in the first instance on their parents, there is an obligation on the state to create the necessary environment for parents to do so. 1. The duty of support. Section 28(1) of the Constitution grants every child the right to family care or parental care or to appropriate alternative care. Although this study focuses on the private maintenance system, it includes an evaluation of both private and state maintenance systems. Primarily, parents must take financial responsibility for their children, and the study investigates various possible ways of achieving this requirement. It is in the best interest of children to gather as much information as possible to be cared for. 2. The traditional method of resolving maintenance disputes. This study analyzes the provisions of the Maintenance Act, identifies its limitations, and makes suggestions. The South African Law Commission is investigating, in addition to the recovery of maintenance for children, the reform of the entire South African maintenance system. The formal approach through the maintenance court system is based on an argumentative and litigious approach by family members who are not necessarily in disagreement. Parents are formally drawn into litigation proceedings against one another. They must attend court, prepare their cases, and produce evidence. The process is not conducive to the preservation of relationships, and it does not promote the principle of the best interest of children. 3. The need for a centralized maintenance register. The study investigates the use of a centralized maintenance system, the central register, with a strong internet presence to process the relevant data and documents of all parties with maintenance files electronically at a central location. The central register will serve as a conduit that receives and feeds information between all relevant stakeholders, including the dedicated bureau, the courts, and maintenance clients. The processing of personal information of maintenance clients and minor children may be foreseen as a weakness or a concern for the Department of Justice, which hosts the information in maintenance matters. But this is the motivation for having a dedicated credit bureau. The department can share the information conditionally with a single niche credit bureau that specializes in maintenance orders only, instead of sharing information with 52 registered credit bureaus. The financial sector and credit industry have already taken precautions in their codes of conduct to align the processing of personal information with the provisions of Section 39 and the requirements for complaints, checklists, and guidelines of the Office of the Information Regulator. 4. ADR options to resolve maintenance disputes. The study introduces ADR mechanisms as possible informal options available to find solutions for dealing with maintenance disputes. The Family Dispute Resolution Bill of 2020 under Project 100D provides for mandatory mediation for all family disputes, and it makes provision for certified mediators. The different ADR options are analyzed, including dialogue, conciliation, collaborative law, private and statutory mediation, arbitration, and parenting coordination. Mediation has evolved over time and has become the main alternative for resolving family disputes out of court. In the event of settlement, the agreement of the parties can be made in order of court. The use of forms of ADR and ODR is entrenched in resolving credit bureau disputes, and existing processes can be adapted and integrated into a centralized maintenance system. Artificial intelligence, AI, and algorithms are synonymous with ODR in credit bureaus and other disputes and offer opportunities for resolving maintenance disputes. Family mediators already utilize program calculators successfully during maintenance mediations. AI and mediation have become increasingly intertwined. By combining the two, users can benefit from the advantages of both and achieve more effective outcomes. The use of an internet-based centralized maintenance system has the potential to give marginalized persons and communities access to justice, which many South Africans are currently deprived of. ODR is a web-based system in which minor differences can be resolved by the proverbial press of a button, and more complicated disputes can be funneled to other appropriate dispute resolution mechanisms, either online or face-to-face. In the credit bureau industry, automated decision-making and information matching programs are already in use. The establishment of a dedicated credit bureau to serve as a centralized maintenance register. The point of departure for this study is the establishment of a dedicated bureau. Although international instruments support the concept for arrears maintenance to be listed on credit bureaus, it is argued that the concept should be extended to all maintenance orders. An analysis of the financial services sector is provided before focusing on the role and function of credit bureaus, the credit industry, credit granting, credit rating, and reckless credit. The South African Credit and Risk Reporting Association, SACRA, draws all qualifying companies in the credit industry together to share information on their clients' payment and risk profiles with the credit bureaus. It safeguards that identical data is shared among all SACRA members. The dedicated credit bureau would become a member of SACRA. The National Credit Regulator plays an important role in the formal credit industry, regulating the 8 ADR agents, 52 credit bureaus, 6,675 credit providers, 1,699 debt counselors, and 4 payment distribution agents. Credit bureaus play a vital role in the credit industry and the South African economy. Credit providers must consult credit bureau records to ascertain consumers' monthly obligations to establish affordability before taking any decision to grant credit. Dispute resolution systems utilized in the credit industry are well developed, and a dedicated credit bureau for maintenance disputes could benefit from existing systems that are mainly processed online. Many South Africans have access to smartphones and the internet. Statistics indicate that there are 26.3 million smartphone users, 41.19 million active internet users, and 28 million social media users in South Africa. The World Economic Forum suggests that government change their current approach to public engagement and policy making to rely on sources which are made possible by new technologies. Conclusion: the Maintenance Act has not kept pace with the modern world. Access to justice in maintenance cases can be achieved and delivered by using technology. The credit industry has a responsibility to limit over-indebtedness and stop extending reckless credit. Maintenance defaulters will be minimized and prevented from hiding assets and finances. The implementation of the proposed system holds the promise of bringing speedy relief to many vulnerable women and children. Government will gain control over a problem that is out of hand. Irresponsible parents will be brought to book. The credit industry will be held accountable, as the extension of credit must be limited to qualifying applicants, and job opportunities can be created for ADR practitioners. The Constitutional Court found in COLLOQUIUM that it is a function of the state not only to provide a good legal framework, but to put in place systems that will enable these frameworks to operate effectively. I thank you.